Friday, everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. Man, it's a great day. And if you didn't know, it's Casual Friday. That's right. That happens for entrepreneurs as well. Every day might be casual, but it's Friday, so we're having Casual Friday today. This is your first time joining. Welcome. If you've been here before, awesome. So excited to have you guys here. We love having this show and being able to, and I say we, this is live, so it is what it is. It's me. I love having you guys here. Here's the deal. I'll kind of give you a breakdown of the show. In the meantime, you can share this out. You can drop in a comment, say hello, tell your friends to come by. It's a party. This is the actual party during the live broadcast. If you're watching the replay, hey, you're still here. It's still part of the party. But afterwards, especially if you're watching the replay, I want you to join the after party. Where is that? That's in the comments. Magic happens in the comments. So that's where I want you to engage both during the live broadcast and if you're watching the replay, because I follow up with you and so does everyone else who's tuning in. And plus, you just never know who's going to come across this video and see your comment and then lead to the next step. So be sure to play in the comments. Have fun. Enjoy. The beauty of live broadcasting is that it's just a lot of fun. And you get used to it, right? And so if you haven't watched previous episodes, no problem. I got you covered. Later, you can go to checkwithed.com and you can see that there's a tab in the menu item that says Facebook Live Show. When you click on that, it gives you a few different things. One, it tells you about the show. Two, it has events listed there for upcoming ones. I try to keep that calendar regular, but things change a little bit. Also, if you want to become a guest, you can actually fill out a form on the page there and become a guest. You don't have to have X amount of followers. You don't have to, be, this huge influencer online. No, it's just about us having a conversation and people tuning in if they want. And it's about business, tech, and the user experience. So that's pretty much what this show is about. So that's how it goes down here. Again, you can comment, show some emojis, like go past the like. Like is great, but we're kind of over that, right? We're 2018. We don't want to just like things. There's a time and a place, but for this show, it's about the love, the laughter, and maybe the wow moments, right? And then also be sure to share this out throughout the broadcast. So before we jump into today's content, which is going to be where we have a guest come on, I'd like to give you guys a quick update of what I do or what I'm doing. And then also we will jump into random news and then we'll jump into today's content. So what I'm up to, lots of crazy things. Just so you're aware, next week I do have a paid live training separate from Facebook. It's not going to be on Facebook that you can find. I'll drop the link in the comments for you. If you ever see me look down, that's because I have my phone here and I go through actually Facebook to be able to connect with you guys during the live broadcast, because what happens is I'm actually using a whole big setup right now to make it look this fancy for you, which we can break down afterwards for you. But basically, I'm using a few different programs, and today we're actually testing an alternative within a program. So it's a lot of fun, and I'll tell you about how I went about that as well. Let me find that link for you, because I made a special link for you guys. But while I do that, so there's a paid live training next week that's not going to be on Facebook, but it will be about Facebook. We're going to be talking about the Facebook Creator app, give you an overview, and then most importantly, how to create banners like this, and also intro and outro videos like the one you just saw. And if you stay till the end, you'll actually see as well. That is where you will actually be able to do things like what I'm doing here on the show for your Facebook business page. And why do you want to do that? Because you want to give Facebook what they want, which is live video, and most importantly, a show where you can connect with your audience. And you can also connect with other people's audiences, which is huge. So keep that in mind. That's why we do it. Let me go ahead and pop this in the comments for you so you have it. Live training next week. See how easy this is? You just pop that in there and then pin it. So there you guys go. All right. So now that that's happened, let's switch over to some random news and see what we got going on. Have you ever wondered about if and when you could slide down a water slide, like a waterfall, I should say, like huge 60-foot waterfall. Well, now you can, and I'm going to show you. So let me go ahead and switch over my screen here to my other screen, and let's take a look real quick. So here is a really cool natural water slide where currently it's free to go down 60 meter. I don't know if that's really 60 feet. I can't do the math there, but you guys can figure that out. But how cool is this? Everyone just goes, lines up, and just goes down. I mean, this would be a huge adrenaline rush for me. I'll tell you. Anybody ever tried this or would like to try it? Let me know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. Pretty crazy, right? It's like, I don't know, that to me, that would be a lot of fun to be able to do that. Might take a little bit of guts, kind of like going live, right? How many of you, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you are going live right now on your personal profile or your business page or group? Actually, we'll open up to all three: personal profile, business page, or group. Doesn't matter what you're going live with. That's a whole separate topic. But are you going live? Let me know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay, because I want to know, and I want to have that conversation with you even afterwards in the after party, okay? So let's talk about how business and how, well, see, there you go. When you go live and you try to think things top of your head, it's like crazy. Before I get into today's topic, let me back up for a second and talk about user experience and kind of give you guys a little background of what I was doing this morning. I talked about this on my personal profile, and I decided, I should really bring this to you guys here on the show just to give you a sense of kind of how I think, how you should be thinking when you're creating something, and hopefully motivate and inspire you to do something more, right? So I'm thinking, well, actually I was thinking about having a monthly subscription service for having, Erica, what's happening? Having a monthly subscription service for tech support basically, and going live, Facebook stuff. And so I'm really, I was really thinking about, doing this for a while, and then I finally said, okay, I just need to do it and put it out there and see what happens. So that's what I was working on this morning. And now I'm telling you this not to sell the service. Like that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is the user experience that I'm going to explain here in a second, and the process that I want you to go through whenever you have a new idea. So you have the idea. In this case, it was my tech subscription, right? Then comes all the work. Like you can have the idea, which is great, but then you have to figure out how are you going to execute it? What programs are you going to use? And then what's the experience going to be like? Will you translate it to this show? So I've created Ed Talk TV, and it didn't happen overnight. This was something I was planning at the end of last year, and it was because I knew I had to go live more. I knew I had to be out here more, and Facebook wants you to go live, so I'm trying to give it what it wants, right? Because then they're going to help me come more to you, right? Even though that doesn't really make sense, but you get what I'm saying. So you have to figure out what platform you're on. So in this case, Facebook. Then you have to figure out what you're going to do, and hopefully that's exactly what they want you to do, to give you an extra boost. And then from there, you have to plan things out. What tools are you going to use? Which is the software in this case. What's that experience going to be like for you first, because you actually have to figure it out, right? And then what's that experience going to be like for your viewers, your users, your clients, your customers. So you have to really think that through. And that is part of that user experience. So as I was playing around this morning for several hours on this subscription service idea, which is now in action, it's actually in motion, is I was going through what tech I was going to use. And I was figuring out which one was going to be the best for all of us. And then just to get started, it can always upgrade it later. So keep that in mind. Even when you're trying to go live, like this that you're seeing here did not happen overnight. This is a lot of work. I've spent hours and hours dedicated to getting this Facebook Live, not perfect because nothing's perfect, but upgraded, right? You can go live with just your phone. That's all. You don't have to get fancy. You don't have to have all of these here. Like, just go live. And that's what we talked about last night in last night's episode with Jerisha. If you missed that, we had some great conversation over there, so definitely check that out. I'm going to put Erica's on here. It's an important topic. Look at that. And so with this program that I'm using, again, don't compare this to you getting started, right? I want you to just get started. But this allows me to put on the screen comments. And so I'm able to put them on like that. Perfect. Client experience is super, exactly, Erica. Client experience is super, super important. And that's what you have to think about whenever you're creating something. And that's why it takes time to create things. Unless you have a huge team that you can afford to pay to delegate everything, you need to focus and you have to pay attention. I'm telling you, but I'm also telling myself too, so don't get me wrong. So when you're thinking about this user experience, going back to the subscription service that I'm working on, I have to also think, okay, I have this simple idea that I want to put in motion, and then I find the right tools that I want to use for it. But then I also have to make sure that everything links up. And I literally wrote down, like, there's 3-4 pages here of steps. Every time I went through my my thinking process, every time I created something on the computer, I went through and I wrote down every single step. What email did I get? What form did I fill out? What page did it take me to? Like, every single detail you can get. What was on that page? What does that button look like? These are I'm just planting the seed. We'll have always more conversation around this, and especially once I have the visual to show you. But I just want you to start thinking about that for your website, for your product, for your service, whatever it is that you're working on. I want you to make sure that you think through that process and keep fine-tuning it, because it's never perfect. It's never done, and I want you to just start. So again, if we take it back to what we talked about last night, going live on Facebook, which is a 24-hour challenge. So if any of you are watching from last night, you are still on the clock and I haven't seen you tag me or Jerisha. So tick, tick. But that's where you will want to just start. You just go live, if you want, use your stories. If you don't know what stories are, 2 episodes ago, so that would be Wednesday, I think it was, we talked about that and I showed you examples. So really keep that in mind and just start, because if you don't, you're not going to put yourself out there. You're not going to get whatever it is you want out there, which means you're not going to get to that next level. And you need to. I want you to. And everyone else wants you to as well. So anyway, be sure to continue to comment and show some emojis and share. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over my screen. So we're going to bring on a guest, and I want to bring on our guest, and I want to explain a little bit what we're doing today. So if you've watched previous episodes, I'm using a program called Ecamm, which is fantastic. I'll have more information about this over on the website, checkwithed.com, under the Facebook Live Show tab. But there's been a little bit of some weird audio thing with Skype, because Skype's the only one that can actually work with this program to bring guests on. So, of course, user experience, I'm trying to figure this out. So last night I decided, okay, let me see if I can do FaceTime and do a screen share. Maybe that will work. Well, that didn't really work. So I said, okay, what else can I try? Well, maybe I can try Zoom and do a screen share. And so I'm like playing through all of these experiences, or thinking through all of these different experiences. And well, I'll just turn it over to this next screen and you tell me what we got going on here. So give me a second here. And let me unmute our guest. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so before we jump in and before I have you introduce yourself, I want to just explain this little setup to everyone at home, and probably actually you, because I don't think we've talked about the full experience here.
Right.
So, you guys, this is a screen share. I like to break down the tech for you. Okay, so I'm a little bit of a nerd, I guess, because I want to break down the tech because I know you're going to be asking questions. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is a screen share of my desktop. And this right here is Zoom. So I've created it so that my background over here, where the logo and the bar here, are my desktop photo, or is my desktop photo. So that way it still somewhat looks like my normal screen, because when you're using Zoom, you can't have any fancy equipment in terms of like the banner or the logo or whatever. So the best I could do for you, and like I said, I'm here doing this all for you guys, is I went through, I created a graphic, put it as my desktop homepage, put it as my desktop image, I should say, and made it so that it was pretty close to what we're seeing on my other screen that you just saw me on. And then brought on a guest so that we can use Zoom, which, fingers crossed, the audio should be good. You guys can tell me in the comments. But I tested it earlier today, and it worked. So this is the setup, and this is crazy. It's again, it's not a level 1 here. We're closer to a 10 here, and I want you to realize that, and that's why I point out the tech here, because it's not easy, and this is stuff that you test and that you try, and I have technically 2 programs streaming right now, which is a lot of pressure on my computer and on the bandwidth from the internet. So understand that there's a lot of going on. It's not just one straight line. So I just want to put that out there. So
yeah, it's all over the place. It's awesome.
Yeah, isn't it? So go ahead and introduce yourself, and I will try to keep my focus where the camera is versus where my other camera is.
I totally get it. Well, hey everybody, I'm Brittany Hiller, and I am a wellness practitioner who specializes in yoga as well as meditation and laughter therapy. And what I am so excited to share with you guys today is about how to maintain a joyful and grounded way of being in your business.
Yes, I love that. And it's so funny because we were talking before this on Messenger, and we were talking about how I was thanking Brittany for being so flexible because we're still working with the tech here, and it's kind of outside my hands, so I can't really make it just work. Although this is working so far, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So we were talking in Messenger, and she was like, "No problem, that's my job, being flexible." And I just started cracking up because that just worked.
Perfect. That was what I was going for. I was going for the crack up,
Yeah, it definitely worked, and I was very happy about that. It took me almost a half a second to put the pieces together, and I was like, oh, I don't know if she really meant that, but that's good.
Oh, I meant it.
Yeah. I love it. So what do you do on a normal daily basis? Before we jump into like all of the info that you want to share with us, what do you normally do on a typical day?
So a typical day, we'll just go with a Monday. A typical Monday, I teach a 9 o'clock yoga class, and then I have an opening from 10:15 to 6 o'clock until my next yoga class to take any massage therapy clients that I might have. So in between that time, I utilize it to hop into Facebook and get on my effervescence community and chat with the people in there, and as well as work with clients who are interested in creating more possibility and positivity in their life through my Yes to Possibility program, as well as implementing all of the fun stuff that we do in Yacht Club. Yeah. As well as getting in, so with my 9 o'clock yoga class, that allows me to actually take yoga. So I do that self-care ritual, which is awesome. Yeah. Otherwise, as a massage therapist, I can get locked up and easily exhausted if I don't have some sort of self-care ritual to do.
Oh yeah, and self-care, even if you're not into people watching, even if you're watching the replay, even if you're not into taking care of your health, which I hope you are, but if you're not, or you're not a fitness instructor or whatever, like self-care is still important. I mean, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Like, you need to get out. You need to move your body and get away from the computer. And I'm telling you this because I have to remind myself this too. And so when I'm going through and thinking of these things, I have to put on my schedule, like actually put in my schedule, like go to the gym, walk the dogs, because if I don't, it's not going to happen, because then I get so focused on all the other things on my list, and then I forget that I actually didn't do those which are the most important ones for me. What about you, Brittany? Do you schedule time? Well,
yes. Scheduling time is very important. And so I absolutely do work on doing that. And again, creating just a set, especially during the week, because during the week, the way that my schedule works, it's very flexible. And so I can have those moments where I'm like, well, what do I do? Kind of running in circles. Yeah. And so to maintain that grounded structure, having a schedule and having an idea of what I'm going to be doing for that week exactly, even if it's just, I'm going to fold laundry at this time.
Right.
Everything down to nitty gritty, helps to keep it all in a structured way. So.
And what are you scheduling it with? Are you using I have Google Calendar, but I've also been using, it's really weird, but I've been using just my normal notepad in my iPhone with the little checklist, because it has the little bubbles.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that has kept me on a straight path every day for everything I need to do. I don't know why.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a total Mac girl all the way ever since I was 13. That's when we first got our first Apple computer into the house. And so I just use my calendar, honestly, and I put everything in there and I check it every single day to see what it is that I'm doing next. If I don't have it in there, I don't do it.
Yep. If it's not in the calendar, it's not happening.
Right, exactly. And I'll get a phone call. Brittany, did you remember? And I was like, oh no, I didn't put it in my calendar. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah. And what other, do you have any other tools that you really use to keep you on track besides the calendar, or is that pretty much the one tool that you use?
Yeah, I'm really simple. That is the one. As long as I remember to check it, I'm good to go. I still use Acuity for my business in terms of setting appointments so that it gives other people reminders, because I love that it sends text messages as well as emails, which is great.
It sends text messages?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, you guys, we always are learning something new. It doesn't matter how much of an expert you think you are or everyone thinks you are, you can still learn something new. Now, tell us what Acuity is, because some people may not know what that is. And if you guys are watching the replay, even if you're live, but if you're watching the replay, please share in the comments if you have a system like this.
Yeah. So Acuity is a scheduling program, and it can be free if you desire to use it, for its most minimal amount of things. And it's Acuity Scheduler. I actually have it open right now because I was creating a coupon really quickly. And it allows me anyway to book not only classes for yoga, which is great, but also massage clients as well, and as well as breakthrough calls. So what it does is it allows me the opportunity to set up different intake forms for each client that has a different need for me, as well as being able to email them with all the information of how to get to my studio, or what call we're going to meet with, or even if we're using Zoom, what is going to be our Zoom address. And what I love about that is I do actually pay for it, but I pay one flat rate each year. And it's under $200, which is wonderful for me.
Yeah.
I like to save the dollars. And it allows that SMS, so it allows the text messaging to occur. So I think it might be with the paid program, but I'm not terribly sure. But I would check in with that.
Yeah, I'm totally going to check into that, because that is really cool feature. Because I use Acuity as well, you guys. And what's nice about it is really easy to use, set up. And you can just literally have everything set to go. And now, Brittany, I don't know if you know this, but did you know that you can actually have Zoom automatically create a scheduled meeting for those clients if you choose to integrate it?
No. I'm looking to do that.
Yes. So here's a cool thing, guys. I have it set up so that when you have you have to have a paid Zoom account, because they made changes that last year. So, but it's totally worth, I think it's $15 or something. It's totally worth it, because what happens in Acuity is that you actually can have a little box that you check for whatever appointments you want, so that whenever someone books an appointment, that box that you checked will then automatically turn on Zoom, meaning they'll schedule a meeting with Zoom and then send that link in an email to your client who just booked the appointment. Pretty cool. And the what I love about it is that it just streamlined everything. It streamlined everything for you. So like when you book an appointment with me, you pick your time, you pick your appointment, and then you pick your time, and then you put in your payment, and then it will automatically go through, pay it, and then send you an email with that Zoom already in there. And then I have a follow-up series, 48 hours and then 24 hours as reminders. And so it makes life just so much easier. And then it puts it in your calendar. Like you literally have everything set up for you. So it's really a handy tool for anybody. So I just wanted to point that part out because that's the whole user experience we talk about.
Yeah, and absolutely. And plus, right? Like, so plus doing all of that, having that automation automatically creates ease and joy in your business because you don't have one more thing to worry and think about, which is fascinating and wonderful. And that's what we want more of.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you're on the move. And here's the thing, everyone talks about, and you guys tell me this in the comments as well. The first thing you think of is, I need a VA. I need a virtual assistant. I need somebody to take these things off my checklist. But we don't really pause and think, wait, how can I fine-tune this myself? And what systems and processes can I put in place for some of these things? And so I want you to, we can talk about that on another live, but I want you guys to think about that, is that it's not always about just jumping and going to hire a VA, whether it's here, there, or whatever. Like, pause for a second, write out your processes, write out those steps for everything, and ask yourself if there's a way you can make it happen yourself and make your automation your VA, which is what I love to do. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more cost effective for a business, especially if you're just starting out, which makes it so much more better, and there's a lot of MLMers out there, and sometimes, just getting started in that, it can be overwhelming because you think, oh gosh, okay, I have to set up this and this and this. So I have to set up these parties and all these things. And so for them, I would highly recommend creating the automation as well as an email, allowing yourself to begin to create an email list of people so that you're able to get in contact with people on a more personal level.
Yeah.
What I often see too is just, people throwing people into groups on Facebook. You may have talked about this already, but that's not a very joyful way of doing business.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's a great thing to mention, because what happens with Facebook groups, for those of you who are new to them, or maybe you are in them and you're adding people, Facebook, again, it starts from the top down, right? Facebook wants you to add people to groups, which, sure, that could be a great feature if the community was open to that and wanted that. But the way the community is with Facebook groups is that they're your own private communities in a way. Even if they're public, they're still kind of like community, And so for a lot of them, they don't want just random people added. Those random people also don't want to just be randomly added to a group. And Facebook makes it so easy for you to do that. So just be careful. Always send a link of that group to somebody you think might be interested and let them know, hey, I saw this group, I thought you might be interested, versus adding them to that group, because that's like the worst thing that you could do for Facebook groups.
Yes.
We all are like, if you add me to another group, you're gone. You're gone.
That's true. And you also may, people just, they love you and they want to support you. They really do. They just also would love an invite. Yes.
Yeah. And again, that's all about that user experience, right? Like, you don't want to just be thrown into something. Why? That goes back to what I'm really passionate about, which is like the whole Facebook pages, likes versus follows and all this stuff. It's like, don't just like my page. Don't just like something. Every once in a while, liking a comment might be all right. because I know I do that too, but like go past that, use one of the emojis, use a GIF image, put a question there, put a sentence there, like something besides just dropping your link or asking for X amount of followers today or X amount of likes, because you just sound like everyone else and you're not going to stand out and it doesn't do anything for you.
Yes.
I don't know. That's just me though.
No, I totally 100% agree. And that's like, so the Social Goddess Bootcamp, which is something that I am in the process of creating, talks about all of that and more about how can you create this user experience on social media alone much more personal, right? Because what I do on my personal Facebook page is I ask questions and then the feed just goes crazy. I think I have one right now with almost 200 comments because I answer each person's question or each person's answer with basically an intuitive question of like, okay, so you're stuck. For example, one of them was about money, and it was about if money was endless, what would you do? And so people started naming their dreams.
Nice.
And I was like, those dreams are fabulous. Now what's keeping you from creating those dreams, And of course, the relationship with money is what was holding them back. But then I started implementing ideas of, well, let's try it this way. And so that creates that user experience of people getting really personal. Yep. And also other people started seeing it the ripple effect, and they're like, oh, I want in on this.
Yeah, it's so true. And that you bring up a great point. You're asking questions and you're following up in the comments, right? So everyone watching, you're going to hear this as a broken record, and it's good. You have to comment. You have to engage. That's why I call it now the after party, because that's where we get to connect after this broadcast. The last couple days has been awesome because I'll be at like the gym or wherever, and you guys are watching the replays and you're commenting as if it was live, and I'm following up as if it's live. It's so much fun to be able to do that with you, even when we're not live like this. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love it as well. And you're right. It continues.
Yep. And so that's the beauty of Facebook. This is why I've really latched on to Facebook, is because it allows you to build those relationships. It allows you to go deeper into the conversation versus, for instance, Instagram. No offense, Instagram users, but things are going to change over there soon, I'm sure. But also for me, there's just so much spam over there, and it's not the user experience in terms of the commenting and being able to share things with people. It's not like Facebook, and that's why I don't use it very often or as much. I'll use stories and stuff like that, but when it comes to the actual postings, it's more like, I feel like maybe an Instagram post today, sure, but it's not where Facebook is, where I'm on it all day long. So, it's that user experience. I don't know, are you an Instagrammer?
I do Instagram, yes. I also utilize Instagram straight. I think we talked about this before on the podcast, but I utilize Instagram going straight to my buffer that it posts to my Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Buffer, for you guys that don't know, is a scheduling tool that does have a free option. You can do up to 10 posts, I believe, in your queue for free. So if you're trying to get that, that's definitely there. And it's one of my favorites. I don't use it as much anymore. I don't use a lot of scheduling tools right now. But when I do use one, that's the one I go to because, again, the user experience. It's just cleaner. It ties into the iPhone nicely. And it's simple. And it gets to the point.
Yeah.
Have you tried other ones?
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. Go for it. Go for it. There's always a little delay.
Yeah, okay, cool. I was like, there's a little delay. The one that I love to, that actually links Instagram to Buffer is ifthisthenthat.com. And what that does is it helps you to create a recipe so that for people who don't know, they've never heard of this, what it allows you to do is it creates a recipe so that when I post anything to Instagram, then it automatically sends it through if this then that, and then that goes to Buffer. So I don't have to do anything but just post a picture on Instagram, even with the text, and then when it goes through Buffer, it doesn't cut out the text. So sometimes if you use Hootsuite or anything like that, it cuts out the text for you when it reposts to your Facebook. Right. So then you have this website that you have to go to see the whole entire thing, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, and that's again, you guys, that VA service that we're talking about, That's your own personal VA at no additional cost. Like, that's it right there. I love it.
I do too.
I'm surprised that we've talked about so many tools already that I didn't even think that we were going to have this many tools in one episode. So you guys are really lucky right now.
Yeah, you are. I was going to say.
I'm like, we are definitely covering some groundwork on these tools here.
Yes, we are.
So how can we start living a more joyful life as business owners, or soon-to-be business owners for those who are just tuning in and just kind of curious about business?
Perfect. Well, for the more joyful, what I recommend for people is definitely a self-care practice. And just like we talked before, Ed, this can be whether you go to the gym or whether you do something fitness-oriented. It doesn't even have to be that intense. You can wake up and allow yourself to just stretch. And I like to drink lemon water that's hot in the morning. That's one way to just get myself just like in the game. But also allowing yourself to get outside. Yeah. Even when it's cold, just go look at a plant, so grounding yourself back down into reality of here. Because just like you said, when we're in front of our computer, 4 hours can go by without even realizing it. It'll feel like 4 minutes.
That's so true. And what's is there any magical powers around the warm lemon water, or that's just kind of like your thing?
So what it does, actually, yeah, there are magical powers because I'm a unicorn, so. But what it does is it allows, drinking it warm is key, because when you drink it warm, you're actually allowing yourself to hydrate your cells faster with warmer drinks, and you allow your digestive system to begin to do its job, especially when you just wake up in the morning. So that's why when people have hot coffee, it's like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, because it does its job.
Oh, okay. That's good to know, because I'm always curious about that. I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, it's really funny. My husband's gone to China twice, and he says every time he goes, they make fun of him for asking for ice in his water or his drinks, because they don't drink with ice, because ice causes our digestive system to actually slow down. So you can't, our digestive system, now we're talking about digestion, but it helps keeping you grounded. So it doesn't work properly if you're drinking cold items all the time.
Interesting. And see, you guys, I run hot, so I'm always like, can I have some ice with that, please? Because I'm not trying to be, like, over the top hot here.
There you go.
I'm just like, okay, so now I'll have to try the warm lemon water for that, because I don't do that kind of stuff. But I say stuff, but I don't drink that kind of water. My water is just plain water from the tap. I don't get fancy.
From the tap.
And then today there's tea, so there's that.
Tea is warm, and that works. Yeah. Still does the job. So I would highly recommend just something that you can implement in your day in terms of self-care. So you can create a ritual that you do each morning or each night, even before bed, so that you have a healthy night's rest, because rest is so important as well. And I know that when, at least for myself, when I am knee-deep in business creation, I can feel as if I'm floating away, because it's like, oh, I gotta make this, I gotta create this, I gotta do this. And the reality is like, what am I actually doing?
Yep.
So allowing myself to ground is coming back to my why. Why did I begin this in the first place? What is my purpose for this business? And why am I doing it? And then you can even write that down. You can go even deeper in being more centered with your why. Like writing down, I've created this business because I want to work with people on my time. I want to be able to help people heal and allow them to have aha moments that just completely blow me and them away, things like that.
And that's a big one too. I'll even use an example from me today. Like I was working on the subscription plan. I was trying to figure things out, and I was like, man, I'm so close, and I'm almost there, and I didn't want to get interrupted. And I spent 3-4 hours on it, and then I realized, it's really nice outside. Like the sun finally came out. I need to walk the dogs, and so I walked the dogs. And I love when this happens, and when I can realize that I need this. It's like, bam! As we're walking, I'm thinking, okay, this is the sales page. This was what needs to go here. Now that I went through that whole process, I can do another training that I can share with people on how to create a subscription service on a budget without having any fancy programs. Like, all these things start going through my head, and I'm like, that is cool. Like, that is what I needed, was just to get out for a nice walk, to just breathe fresh air.
Yes. And that's exactly what happens when we have that moment to ourselves to just stop and not think so much. It's when it's coming in. It's when it's gold, right? And that's why what a lot of us say is like meditation is key, because it allows you not to clear your mind. What I teach people is you're not clearing your mind with meditation. Nobody does that. Instead, what you're doing is allowing yourself to, instead of react to your thoughts, you're responding to your thoughts. So you're looking at them as they come in and understanding, do I need to continue to think about this, or can I move on?
Right.
And so with that implementation, with allowing yourself to do that, what that does is it helps you to focus more on what makes sense. Sure. Instead of like, oh my God, that girl was wearing purple. Why did she wear purple? Da, 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 da. You know, story is just continuing to go instead of saying, not important, next.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. And it's interesting too how it works, you know, where your brain just needs that change of scenery and just to be out there. Whitney says, number one, self-care. What?
Yes.
Love that. Mm-hmm. Now, for those watching and live and replay viewers, do you have a self-care plan in motion? Yes or no? And then a follow-up question to that is, are you going to have one? If you said no, are you going to have one? And how are you going to start within the next 24 hours? That's a big one. You have the weekend. I mean, that's more than 24 hours, but you have until Monday, when your technical work day, even if you're an entrepreneur, you work all the time, but let's just say Monday is your technical work day. So you have now until Sunday to figure out what's something that you can do for your self-care plan. You know, I can't remember. Did you already say, Brittany, what you kind of do for yours yet?
Yeah, so my self-care plan is just, I teach yoga, so it's yoga. And it really is, even when I'm not teaching, I do it at home. I have a home-based practice. It's just 15 minutes, but it's still something to allow me to move my body. Otherwise, I will feel locked up, and being in front of a computer,
the worst.
You know, this hurts.
Up here, I'm not brushing off my shoulders, but I'm telling you, like, that's where the stress gets up there.
Exactly.
And Whitney, So you are going to be on this challenge. I'm challenging you to tag me by Sunday night and let me know what self-care plan you're going to do. Like, what's one thing, you know, if you're on the computer all the time, it could be as simple as, I love this. Whitney's all, I got to stop watching your videos. Too much homework.
Dude, just laughing is self-care.
There you go, Whitney. So one thing checked off already. There you go. I'm still waiting for your live though, because your 24 hours is almost up. I'm just saying. But see, that's the beauty of doing this show, right? Is having fun and having those small challenges that you put out in the world, because at least it gets you to think about it. At least it makes you aware of the situation. So, you know, you've probably been going on about your day, your business, and everything, and then you somewhat tuned into the show just for even that little glimpse where you're like, oh, self-care plan. I don't think I have one of those. And then you start thinking about, well, I read once a day for an hour. I'm not on my phone. I just pick up a book, or I go for a 10-minute walk. I mean, you know, you start thinking about these things and you realize, oh, I actually do have a self-care plan. Cool, that's what that's called, you know?
And it's funny, too, because sometimes, you know, just like you said, we can go throughout our whole day, but still doing something ritualistically, whether it's drinking your coffee or your lemon water in the morning, but still realizing, hey, I do have something that helps bring me up and awaken me each day and allows me to feel good. So if you're doing something that allows you to feel good, you're on the right path.
There you guys go. See? There you go. So you might not have as much homework as you think, right? And that's the one thing that I want you to realize, like, and we're always improving, but knowing that you got to put it on your calendar or your checklist or whatever you're using to keep yourself accountable, like that's what you want to start doing, because it's important. Because especially if you're running your own business, if you are out of commission, everything else suffers. Whether you have a team or not, everyone else suffers, because you're still the business. Remember that.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. We just had a snow day here. I live in South Carolina, and this was insane because our snow days are usually a no-snow snow day. So it will snow at midnight, and then it will be melted by the next day. But we had this last for 5 days, and we were just dumbfounded. We're like, I can't drive in this. We don't have anything that you need to take care of snow and ice here. So my business was out of commission. So I had to think quickly, okay, well, how can I make this work, especially for the people who are paying for memberships already for the yoga studio where they physically go. So I popped in the group and did something live, but it allowed me to also practice while at home stuck inside.
That is awesome. So talk a little bit more about how that went down. Like, what group are we talking about, and kind of what did you do?
Yeah, so my Effervescence community group is on Facebook, and it's open to the public. Anybody can join. I go in there and I pop in and I teach live yoga every once in a while, but also have meditations, as well as self-care tricks, such as dry brushing. I get really deep into, again, the lemon water, and different vegan recipes. And so things like that. It's an open forum for people to come in and learn different things. So if they're stuck in like, what in the heck do I do for self-care? I've got lots of tips and tricks in there.
Nice. And later I want you to make sure to put a link in the comments so that people can find it. And so this is really cool. This is something unique, you guys, that you can pay attention because, let's face it, no matter where you live, chances are the weather is all kinds of craziness. I mean, we have a little sun right now, but I thought a truck was driving down the street this afternoon, and then I look out the window, and it was like just full-on hail, just out of nowhere, just hailing like crazy. And now the sun's back out. So we all have this crazy weather, and this is an important thing that Brittany just pointed out, is being able to utilize the technology you have and the tools you have to be able to still keep moving forward with your business in some form, some fashion. So you had a snow day, a real snow day, and you had to figure out what to do next. So you went into your group and you did what?
And so what I did is I went live. As you're telling everybody to do, I went live. And by going live, I taught a nice 45-minute yoga class, literally sitting in my guest bedroom in between a bed and a window, so I could actually see outside and look at the snow, which was really cool. But it's like teaching people too, you don't need a lot of space in order to practice yoga. You need a yoga mat, and that's it. And it's not very big.
And see, that's what's cool is, again, breaking down what could be complicated, right? And bringing it down to the fine-tuning it, or breaking it down to the smallest point where it's like, okay, I have my phone, I have a group of people that are interested, I can go live, and I have a little bit of space. Why not? Let's just do it. And whoever shows up, shows up. And then they can have that time with me, even though we're not all together in the same room.
Yeah, it's so great. And two, before Facebook started going live, I was a big proponent and big user of Periscope.
Yeah.
Still am, just not as big as I was before.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would host live yoga classes on there through the yoga class I was teaching. But then I would also implement a donation-based pay structure by putting my paypal.me address in there.
Love that. Expand on that so people who don't know. They probably know about Periscope, but explain where you put that on Periscope and kind of what that actually is.
Okay, for sure. So what I would do is I would add that into the title of my Periscope. So my scope, I would put in the title, not 15, but just like 1 hour chair yoga class. Donations accepted, paypal.me/Brittany Hiller. So paypal.me is your ability to go in and create just a simple domain through PayPal. And it links people directly to a page that allows you to put in as much money as you want to pay the person. So as long as you don't put a number at the end of your name, then they can donate whatever they desire. And so that's what I did, and I just left it as my name, and people, you got it right there. So people were able to go in, pop in, and leave me a donation, and it was wonderful because it was basically, to me, money is a thank you. So it's a way for you to thank the person for their service. It's not, anything more than that. And so that's what people were doing. And I was having people who were like in Afghanistan as military, and they were leaving donations because they were just so grateful to be able to move in the moment that they were at. So it's pretty fascinating and wonderful.
That is so crazy. And hopefully we're not too frozen there. It looks like it's still streaming good. So that's good. Yeah, so I put an example in the comments that you guys should be able to see, like mine. PayPal.me is awesome because it allows, and we'll do a training on this at another time, but it's awesome because it allows you to just quickly send that link to somebody, and then they can put in whatever they want. Like, there's nothing, I mean, you can change it too, of course, but that's how simple it is. And then I've had people, I don't know if I told you this, Brittany, but I had, like, when I first started my business, I give so much away for free, and somebody wanted to thank me, and they were like, do you have a PayPal.me? And I was like, yeah, it's right here. And, I'm not thinking anything of it. And they were so kind. They left me a $50 tip.
That's awesome.
I was blown away. I was like, what? Like, people do this? Like, that's super cool. So it's that kind of stuff, you guys, where you don't expect it. It just happens, but you want to be ready. And part of being ready is having these kind of tools where you can just have it to go. And, I think I actually put it on my new site now where I put, like, a fun one, like, treat me to coffee. I'm not going to say no, because you just never know. It's out there. It's there. It is what it is. Like, I'm not expecting anybody to do that, but hey, it's there. So whatever,
I love that. I'm going to use that. That's great.
Yeah, it's just a fun way to, again, just be ready, but also to have a nice gesture, because sometimes we do come across amazing content, amazing people that we kind of want to give them a little bit more, but it might be a little awkward asking them, like, hey, do you have a link so I can drop you some cash? It might be a little weird. So when you come across something like that, you're like, I'd like to treat them to coffee. That's kind of a mellow, like, that, here you go. It's not something super expensive or whatever. It's just one of those casual conversations that people have where it's not awkward, and it just works. So I don't know. It's just something cool.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I'm totally doing that. I dig that for sure. And that's what, at first, when I implemented that, I was like, oh, is that being too forward by saying, hey, if you want to? And then I was like, well, no, because all these people who are coming to my class were paying donation-based anyway. So I was like, well, I'm just going to put it out there for the digital world, for those people who want to leave something for receiving this yoga class. And it worked. And that was pretty wonderful.
And that's what we've been talking about, we continue to talk about, is just testing it, seeing what happens. Put it out there. Brittany was talking about putting in her title of her scope. To translate that for Facebook users, that's your post title. That's the description you put when you post something. So like this video, that copy that I put in there, that text, that would be the post title. And then that's where you could put your link, or you can pop it into a comment somewhere when appropriate, So again, just think outside the box a little bit and make sure that it's appropriate, obviously, but just test it and see what happens. Worst case scenario is nobody uses it.
Right.
No.
But then it's there.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So for people who are future users or watchers of your video, it's like, maybe they'll do it, and it's always out there until you delete it, so you never know what's possible.
Exactly. Well, before I let you go, any other last pieces of advice, words of wisdom that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I wanted to just give a little teeny bit. I know you have homework out the wazoo. The self-care was a good one, but even if people don't want to implement just like hardcore self-care, the really quickest way to allowing yourself to feel good and connected to you is with the simple I love you trick. And so what you do is you look yourself in the mirror, and it might seem super weird for some people who aren't used to this, but do it anyway. Yeah. Look at yourself in the mirror and say I love you. And I'm talking about in your eyes, because what that does is it allows for yourself to feel good. Yeah. To feel good for yourself, because honestly, if you don't love yourself, how in the world are you going to be able to work with other people, be compassionate towards other people, and love other people?
And that's a big one, I mean, I'm not actually doing that, but I will
Yeah.
say, yet. I will say though, from some of these different books, from some of the books that I've been reading, because I like to read various books around business, money, management, leadership. I mean, all these different ones, because you need to branch out and be well-rounded. And so, one of the last ones was I'm a Badass at Making Money, which follows up to the main one, which most people knew of, which is the one I actually read, was I think it's just saying I'm a badass. I can't remember, but that's like the main book. And then somebody got this for my birthday, got me the I'm a Badass at Making Money. And it was a different book for me to read because it's more of that, telling yourself you're good with money, loving money, money loves you, like all these things that you tell yourself, should be telling yourself. And of course, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like, okay, whatever. But it works. It's really cool. It's a little weird if you've never done it before. You're kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird, kind of goofy, like, what? It works. It really does.
It does. And it's not even like, sometimes people get into the whole mentality of like, oh, it's selfish for me to like money. Right. And it's like, no, but when you begin to realize what money really truly is, money is an exchange for your energy, for your time, for your efforts. And so people can choose to give it to you or they can choose to not give it to you. That's why you can set your own prices. And again, you'll work with the people who you attract through all of that fun stuff.
Yes, I love it. And we were talking about also, if you guys missed it, 2 or 3 days ago, I think it was Tuesday, we had Susan on the show and we talked about pricing. So if you're curious about pricing, you kind of have some questions or whatever, go check out that episode because that was a great one. If you have a hard time finding it on Facebook, guess what? I have you covered. Checkwithed.com, click on the Facebook Live show, and there's a link there to all of the episodes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but jump into the comments, talk with everyone, and then also drop your links too, so then that way people know where to find you.
Perfect. I will do just that. Thanks, Ed. This was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to switch back here, guys. And boom. There we go. So how cool was that? That is what I'm talking about. Again, we are testing things out. Today, because we didn't want to test out, well, I should say the reason why we tested it with Zoom today as a screen share, again, it's complicated. It takes a while to figure this stuff out. The reason we did that was because we wanted to have the audio connection seamless for you because with Skype, it's been a little weird the last 2 episodes, and that's kind of out of my control. So I wanted to try something else to make it work. So hopefully that worked for you guys. But keep that in mind. Even if you just learn one thing from this episode, like that's all you need to do is be able to learn one thing from this episode, which we gave you a lot. I mean, there are a lot of tips and tools that we used in this episode that hopefully are new to you or that you're already using and that you didn't know there was a feature. Like I didn't know the text messaging thing was an option. I'm going to have to go look at that. Things like that. That's what I want you to share with each other and share in the comments. Like drop in the comments afterwards, even if you're watching the replay. Go to the after party. That's the comments. And hang out with us and let us know, like engage with us. What are you doing? What have you done? What kind of self-care are you doing for yourself? What's a tip or a tool that you use? Like all that stuff matters because it may come easy to you, but not so easy to everyone else watching or reading or commenting. And so I want you to be more open and share that with us. So definitely do that. And I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see you on Monday's show. And again, I will pop into the comments after this. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll turn it over here. This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.